All right, good morning, everyone. This is Shauna Young, Interim State Superintendent, and thank you all for joining me for this November All Hands meeting this morning. Well, a lot has happened since we all last met, between the presidential election, changes to reopening plans for schools, and much more. This has been an overwhelming time for much of us and for many of our staff. I just want to say thank you all for your dedication and commitment to this work and for staying true the focus and mission of OSSE during these times of uncertainty. I want to start the all hands meeting for a moment to pause and take a deep breath. And I will introduce Amy McLaughlin from our Division of Health and Wellness to lead us in a mindfulness moment.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Happy to be here and looking forward to taking a deep breath with everyone. Again, my name is Amy McLaughlin in the Division of Health and Wellness, and we're going to do an exercise called 5 Senses. So it really just helps us be a bit more mindful and practice mindfulness more quickly in really any situation. And so all you really need is to notice something that you're experiencing within each of your 5 senses. And so with that, just take a second to get comfortable in your chair or standing, wherever you are. And take a deep breath in and out. Close your eyes or keep them open. And now open your eyes. And now notice 5 things that you can see. Look around and bring your attention to 5 things you can see. Pick something that you might not normally notice, like perhaps a shadow or a small crack in the concrete or a little bit of paint on the wall you've never quite noticed before. Just notice 5 things you can see. All right. And now notice 4 things you can feel. Bring awareness to 4 things that you're currently feeling, like maybe the texture of your pants or the feeling of the breeze on your skin, or maybe a soft, warm surface of the socks where your feet are nestled. Just notice 4 things that you can feel right now. And now bring some awareness to 3 things that you can hear. So take a moment to listen and note 3 things that you hear in the background. It could be the chirp of a bird, maybe the hum of the refrigerator, or faint sounds of traffic from a nearby road. Just notice 3 things that you can hear. And now notice 2 things you can smell. Bring your awareness to the smells that you usually might filter out, whether they're pleasant or unpleasant. Perhaps there's a breeze that's carrying a whiff of pine trees if you're outside, or it's a little chilly. Maybe there's the air that's carrying the smell of the old wooden desk you might be seated at, or smell of fast food. Just notice 2 things you can smell. And finally, notice 1 thing you can taste. Focus on 1 thing that you can taste right now at this moment. You might want to take a sip of a drink or chew a piece of gum, maybe eat something. Notice just the current taste in your mouth, or maybe even open your mouth to search the air for a taste. And just for another moment, continue to live in those 5 senses and those things you just recognize from right around you in this moment. And recognize that your reality in this very moment is what it is, and stay aware of those senses that you just activated. And realize the ease that they might bring you in recognizing a need for more or a sense of comfort in your space. And this is a quick and pretty easy exercise that can bring you to a more mindful state pretty quickly. And so if you have a minute or 2 every day or every week, then you could try an exercise like this. So I hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Amy, for taking us through that mindfulness moment and for helping us reset as we will walk through the agenda that we have today. As you can see here, we're going to start with reviewing a few of the updates that have been going on in the district since we last met. We'll provide an update from our Division of Systems and Supports K-12 on Homeless Awareness Month. We'll provide updates on our planning for future return to work following some of our announcements last month. We will provide information on open enrollment. And we'll talk about a series of virtual holiday activities through the end of the year that we've arranged for us to celebrate together. And we will end with an open Q&A where you can drop questions in the chat box and I'll do my best to answer as many as possible. So first, two announcements. As you know, on November 5th, Mayor Bowser announced a new order on travel for all district residents. So we'll start by reviewing that and then discuss a little bit related to DCPS opening and care classrooms. As you know from the distribution of this information, there is an updated travel advisory for the district for visitors coming into DC and for those leaving and coming back. We encourage everyone to, before you travel, get a test. And as you can see on this guidance, if you're a close contact of a confirmed positive case, don't travel. And if you're a visitor to DC for more than 3 days, to get tested upon arrival. There are also reviews in this policy for common exceptions related to visitors from Maryland and Virginia and people coming to DC for essential work. But we encourage everyone to take as many precautions as possible and to follow public health guidance, particularly in this time that you can find on coronavirus.dc.gov. I want to encourage people to familiarize with themselves with the changes to these policies and make sure that you and your family are following them for all of our health and safety. In addition, there have been some changes to the school landscape as we've been entering into the fall. DCPS continues to provide virtual learning and had planned to offer in-person learning at the start of term 2. That has changed somewhat as they're still figuring out the best way to do that implementation. But they are beginning by opening care classrooms as now and as soon as staffing plans are confirmed to open more. And charter LEAs also have begun in-person learning for a number of students. And you can find out more information specifically on these two websites that are on this slide. And that is also continuing to change as we go through the fall. So we'll continue to update you, and many of us, including the Division of Student Transportation and others, are working directly to support schools in reopening and get students into buildings, even as it is happening incrementally. As I just mentioned, also at OSSE, we're continuing to release updated guidance and resources related to COVID-19 response and recovery, including guidance from our divisions related to health and safety in schools, child care facilities, and meal service guidance, as well as guidance on how to support students with disabilities as they're re-entering school. These are consistently posted on our website, and just a thank you to all of our staff who are working to be nimble and to support our schools and child care facilities with both sort of first level guidance and materials, and then also really detailed technical assistance to help them work through these plans. And so OSSE's been very, as you know, been very engaged in this. I want to thank all of our staff for their work to try and make this as smooth as possible for our community. Next, we will talk a little bit about Homeless Awareness Month. November is National Homeless Awareness Month, and we have today a few members of our homeless education program here to speak with us about the work that they're doing this month and all year long to support our youth experiencing homelessness. I want to start by congratulating Nicole Lee Mwanda, OSSE's Homeless Education Program State Coordinator, who in October was named the National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth Homeless State Education Homeless Education State Coordinator of the Year. Congratulations. Nicole has been a tireless advocate for students experiencing homelessness over the years, working at both DC Public Schools and here at OSSE, where she has developed partnerships that expose students to college and provide the supplies needed to be successful on campus, among other programs. Congratulations again, Nicole, and I'll turn it over to you to share some thoughts.
Good morning, OSSE family. I hope you all are well. Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction, Shauna. It truly was an honor to receive this award from over 50 homeless education state coordinators throughout the U.S. and U.S. territories. I am a part of a fabulous team that is the homeless education program within OSSE's Division of Systems and Supports, K through 12. We are comprised of Danielle Rollins, Tasheen Stallings, and we're under the supervision of Dr. Tanisha Brown. And so there are a variety of things that we do as a team to ensure that students and families experiencing homelessness in the District of Columbia receive quality educational supports through our public schools. And so there are a variety of things that we do, such as ensuring that all homeless liaisons are within all campuses and schools within DC, as well as within the local education agency. There's one person that oversees the homeless education programs within each school system. We provide a variety of training opportunities, not just for our over 300 homeless liaisons in the district, but we also provide a variety of supports and trainings for community-based organizations, shelters, and we work closely with other government agencies within the district, as well as national organizations, such as Schoolhouse Connections, NACCE, and of course, the Department of Education. So ultimately, in addition to providing trainings and supports and policy guidance to our schools, we also offer a competitive grant every 2 years for local education agencies that are wanting to receive additional funding to support their students experiencing homelessness. In addition to the supports that we're providing to the LEAs, we also partner closely with a variety of OSSE divisions such as PCE, Health and Wellness, Dell, to do some exciting innovative programs like sending high school students to college campuses during the summer, or providing them with college starter kits if they're trying to go off to college for the first time as freshmen. And so we're so grateful for the collaborative work that we've been able to do with so many different divisions within OSSE. One of the things that I wanted to really highlight is our Homeless Awareness Month activities, that although we do some amazing things throughout the year, we also are providing a special spotlight on November's National Homeless Awareness Month. And so one of my colleagues, Tasheen Stallings, is going to talk about the amazing things that we're doing this month that we hope that you can join us for in support of National Homeless Awareness Month. So Tasheen Stallings, take it away.
Thank you, Nicole. Hi, everybody. This is Tasheen. I want to invite you all to please join us and share some of the activities that we have going on for Homeless Awareness Month. If you are active on social media, whether you use Twitter or Facebook, please check out the OSSE pages and share those informations that's being promoted for Homeless Awareness Month. Yesterday on Facebook, there was a post that was out and featuring our own Nicole Lee Wanda. Just to kind of kick off Homeless Awareness Month activities and knowledge and understanding. We're also going to have a webinar series this week featuring guest presenters from DC Safe, My Sister's Place, DC Central Kitchen, the Red Cross, and Catholic Charities, in addition to Advocates for Justice and Education. And then we're also going to have liaison spotlights, as Nicole mentioned earlier. If you did look at the OSSE Wire yesterday, you will see that one of the liaisons was spotlighted with her story in terms of how she supports homeless families and students at her particular school. And then lastly, we're going to have a warm clothing drive that's going to kind of kick off the holiday season. Last year, a lot of you participated with us by donating items. This year, just because we're not in the building doesn't mean we still can't contribute in some way. So in partnership with DHS, we'll be collecting items such as coats, gloves, sweaters, scarves, lip balm, and lotion. And that's going to be happening from November 30th through December 20th. There's going to be collections bins that's going to be set up in the lobby. So all you need to do is just drop off your items in those collection bins, and they'll be picked up on a weekly basis, and then they'll be donated to families and shelters. So if you do have any other questions or any other concerns about attending any of the webinar series or supporting our programs, please feel free to contact us, and we'll be happy to provide you assistance.
Thank you again to Nicole, Tasheen, and the whole team for all the great work you do and for continuing to coordinate activities for our staff to support and participate in this area. We really appreciate it, and congratulations again. We'll move on to our next topic in the agenda, which is planning for a future return to work. This is, as you know, part of our continued commitment to keep you updated when we meet together about the status of our moving to access to the office. As we mentioned last month, this is a continuation of that conversation as well. So as you know, Mayor Bowser has extended the public health emergency to December 31st, 2020, and the city remains in phase 2. When we talk about return to work planning, we have consistently talked about these 3 areas as we talk about what resuming physical in-person work looks like: health and safety, communication and training, and facilities planning. So we'll talk about where we are today. OSSI remains in a telework posture. Last month, we discussed a voluntary option for a limited return to the office. And here is the update on where we are with that. We've received interest from about 30 OSSI staffers who are interested in returning to work in person in the office on a limited basis. Again, this was a voluntary opportunity, and we solicited everyone's input as to whether or not they would be interested in this opportunity, in addition to the number of staff who are already reporting to the office on a regular basis for their tour of duty. Health and safety guidance will continue to prevail, and we have guidance documents and PPE for staff. As I mentioned, we've received interest from about 30 OSSI staffers, and our return to work team will be creating a schedule and reaching out to those staffers for next steps. Here's a reminder about what that will look like for the people who are going to be coming in. This will happen, we believe at this point, that this opportunity will open for the building in December and will remain in strict concert with DC guidance. And we're going to provide more information directly to staffers who have indicated that they are interested about the specifics. But just as a reminder, that social distancing will be strictly enforced in the office. Staff will have specially scheduled days for these part-time in-office opportunities, limiting capacity on floors and elevators, seating only at assigned desks, and restricted use of conference rooms, cafes, vending rooms, and stairwells. OSSI will provide PPE in the manner of masks, wipes, and hand sanitizer, and masks must be worn at times except when actively eating or drinking. And every employee must complete a health screening before entering the building. And as I mentioned, our return to work team will be following up with individual staff members as we begin planning and notifying people of their schedules with the specifics and any other required information and training about what to expect when people return. So I just wanted to provide that update as a follow-up to our conversation last month about making that opportunity available, and we'll continue to keep you posted about any changes or to the opportunity to come in the office. And if you personally have interest that you do not think was captured, feel free to reach out to our HR team and let them know, and we will try and work to make that possible if there is capacity. So speaking of HR, wanted to take this opportunity to remind our staff that open enrollment for 2021 is now open. It is running from Monday, November 9th through December 14th. DCHR has announced that open enrollment will be virtual and no in-person benefit fairs will happen this year. However, they're encouraging everyone to visit the website to find out specifics about our benefits. And as a reminder, for example, flexible spending account pledges for health care expenses, dependent care expenses, transit and parking must be renewed every year. And changes will then be effective January 1st, 2021. So please remember to go back and check and make sure that you have the appropriate coverages that are working for you. There may also be other changes that could be specific to your coverage that I'm not aware of. And so you are definitely in charge of getting the information you need to make the right decision for you and your family related to our benefits. On the screen, you can see the pages for open enrollment. And you can also contact DCHR related to benefits directly. As an example, here are some of the resources that DCHR is providing us, even though they will not be in person. There are on-demand content related to webinars and instructional videos, and there's also live content that you can chat and customer service phone lines to make appointments if you have questions. Please feel free to reach out and get any information that you need to make the right choices. And just a reminder to do that in the next few weeks, because once it is closed, you will not be able to re-access all of those opportunities. So I wanted to make sure everyone was aware. And we can probably, if we haven't already, drop that chat into the chat box, into that link into the chat box as well. Finally, I wanted to share that as we continue to remain working from home, we did want to explore some virtual ways that we can still celebrate the holidays together. A potluck or group gathering is obviously not possible this year, but that is why we are launching 6 weeks of optional holiday activities from our staff beginning next week. We are going to have a theme each week and several opportunities for staff to get involved. That means that staff can take part in activities from sharing notes of gratitude, participating in relaxation events on Teams, to giving back, to joining photo contests for some of our themes here. Next week, we'll kick off Gratitude Week in honor of Thanksgiving, where we're going to encourage staff to share a note of gratitude on our Kudo board wall. And we'll also be launching the warm clothing drive run by the Homeless Education Program that you just heard about. Following gratitude, our themes will focus on giving, relaxation, warmth, joy, and hope. Each week we'll have optional themed activities that you can participate in individually or with your own teams. And we hope it will be a fun way for us to carve out a little bit of time to celebrate and appreciate one another over the winter, even though we can't be in person. So we will be sending out more information about those, and stay tuned to hear more from OSSI Communications about what all of those opportunities and other ways that you can get involved individually and with your teams. With that, I just wanted to open it up for questions in the open forum, and give folks to ask questions about anything we talked about today, and drop questions you have in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to as many as possible.
Great. So Shauna, this is Lida Alicani, the Director of Communications. I'm here to read off the questions. We have one question right now. I'm sure more will come in. But with our first question, with the restricted seating, does that mean that some staff may be sitting at another staff desk?
Thanks for that question. I think the answer is maybe, but not likely, given the volume of interest we have so far. We are making every attempt to seat folks at their own cube, but it may depend specifically as we are working right now to lay out what those layouts are. So we make every opportunity, take every opportunity to seat people at their assigned desks and or at other open seating. And right now I think we will be able to accommodate that, but it may depend somewhat on the volume of interest over time.
Great, and next question, do we have an update on folks who want to come into the office to collect their personal items?
Thanks for that question. I know there was a lot of interest here, especially because there was a lot of interest. We are still working on a safe plan to accommodate that and prioritizing first the structure in which people would be able to come regularly into the office to work. But we did see a large volume of people interested in coming to retrieve materials and their belongings. And so while I don't have a specific update now, we are working on a way that we can accommodate that. And I'll hope to have more updates on that in the future.
Great. Next question, where can we find more information on the warm clothing drive? I think I can answer that one. We will send out an email to all staff next week. So at the beginning of each of the holiday activity weeks, we are going to send out an all staff email that gives directions on the different opportunities that staff can get involved in. And that'll start with the warm clothing drive next week. So you guys should get some more information on that.
Thanks, Lita.
Okay, next question. In the event someone must sit at our desk, will we be notified?
I don't have a question about whether or not that will actually happen. And if it does, then we'll put forward policies about in what way people would be notified or access would be allowed. I know our team is working very hard to use the full breadth of our space, and as of right now, the capacity should be able to accommodate everyone on different days at their own desk. But we will let folks know if that comes to pass, if it is needed.
Thank you. And the next question, what is the volume of interest received so far?
I think as we flagged before, as of the last time we checked, it was about 30 staff members who were interested in the opportunity to come in I think it was up to 1 day a week to start.
Great. And next question, will there be an opportunity to come back to work at the office if you previously indicated you did not want to come to the office?
I think it is possible. We're in the middle of planning for the first round of people who submitted their information first, but I would recommend that you please reach out to our HR. You could reach out to Angie Kirk or Kiana Hall if you're interested and you have changed your mind and you would like to have access to the opportunity. We will do our best to accommodate it if possible.
Okay, and being that COVID cases are rising, are there any plans on shutting down again?
Thanks for this question. It is something on my mind and all of our minds as we watch what is happening in the district. We are obviously watching and working closely with the rest of the government, and those questions related to whether or not facilities get shut down or open are dependent on DC health guidance and guidance coming out of the CA's office and the rest of the city. So we are watching closely there. And we will follow any recommendations needed. And right now, as we mentioned before, our own access to the building is based on those recommendations for social distancing and maintaining compliance with the health guidance that have come forward through DC Health and through DCHR. But if any of that changes, which obviously we are always prepared for those things to change, we will change our course and follow any other guidance that comes forward.
Great, and this is similar, but it might be worth the additional clarification. Is it possible for the return to work for the volunteers? Is it possible that that may change as the COVID numbers are clearly on the rise?
I think the honest answer is that anything may change, and if it does, we will let people know. We are only moving forward with this plan to provide access to the building under the condition that we can meet the current health and safety guidelines and ensure that everyone here can and will comply with it safely. And if at any time that either the guidance changes or we see any challenges with that, then we could change course and make a different decision. And we want to follow the health and safety guidance first and foremost in making those opportunities possible, which is why when we do make this available to people, we will be providing that information directly to the people coming and being very explicit about what our expectations are for us to take care of ourselves and other people in the building together.
Thank you. And next question, will we have the opportunity to continue in a remote work posture permanently?
I think one thing we've learned is that we have a large number of folks who are really productive working from home, and I think I wanted to actually just send kudos to our team for making that transition really smoothly. I don't think permanently is a question that I can answer or many people can answer at this point, but I hope we can learn from what is working and try and incorporate it into our future state plans as much as possible. I think at this point, we're trying to take it one step at a time to make sure that people have both the flexibility and ability to work as smoothly as possible as we make it through the next few months at a time.
Next question, has the air filter system in the building been updated for COVID?
Thanks for this. Our air filtration system is addressed through the building and through DGS, who manages the building, to be in compliance with health guidelines. I cannot specifically state as to which and what upgrades have happened, but I know that our ops team, DGS, and the managers of the buildings are taking precautions overall in terms of cleaning and frequency of the cleaning to the building and maintaining compliance with the requirements for air filtration, but I don't have a specific update as to what those things are.
Great. And next question, do we know the likelihood of any schools opening and requiring transportation ahead of the schedule presented by Mayor Bowser for DCPS?
I don't have a specific update on likelihood. I know that our intent is to provide transportation to our students who require it. And we are being as responsive as possible, frequently very nimbly. So thank you to our Division of Transportation in order to meet the needs of those schools as they work very hard to reopen. Those decisions, as you know, are complicated and as we've seen, may change over time based on staffing needs and other types of planning and health requirements. So we are working closely with DCPS and public charter schools to remind them how we need to be involved in that planning so that we can ensure that students get to school as needed. But I don't know that I can prospectively guess more than what our teams already know, who are working very closely with the school leadership.
Great. And if you want to drop off coats for the warm drive and you live outside of DC, will you have to be screened to make that drop off?
That's a great question. Let us get back on that. I think the intent of the drop off is that there is limited interaction, but let us figure out how to parse that guidance and let you know. And thank you for your interest in showing that support.
I can partially answer that, Shauna, in that if you're referring to the requirements from the mayor around travel, obviously Virginia, if you live in Virginia and Maryland, you are exempt and you can travel throughout the DMV. But if you're talking about coming into the building, we will have a box set up in the lobby, and you will still have to follow the same protocol when you enter the building around doing a self-screen and signing in at the front desk and wearing a mask, and then you can drop your things off. If you wanted to go further into the building at 10:50 and like go up the elevator, you would definitely need to do the same thing around getting permission to do that. But just dropping off the warm clothing materials is fine, but you would still need to do that self-screen and again, wear a mask and sign in.
Thank you for that clarification, Lita. That's great.
Okay, next question. Before we move to that one, I think we got a couple of questions about what is the status about work the Friday after Thanksgiving. Asking if that is considered a holiday or folks will be off.
It is not, as far as I know, it is not considered an official DCHR holiday. And if folks take it, then they should be prepared to take their leave unless and until the government declares otherwise. And I'm not aware that it's been declared yet.
Okay. And with such a low pool of interest, will you expand the option for individuals that work at subsidiary locations to work at 1050 temporarily?
I think that is an interesting question, and I will have to defer to our return to work planning committee if that is possible. We certainly would like to accommodate people as much as we can within the health and safety guidelines, and so we can provide more updates on that as we continue to finalize that planning.
Great. And are there any updates on hiring for the new superintendent?
I don't have a specific update besides that I know that the Mayor's Office of Talent and Appointments is working on the search, and they are in the middle of conducting it. But I don't have any specific timing updates. I know that I've been in close contact with the Deputy Mayor for Education, Deputy Mayor Kine, as well as the Mayor's Office, and we'll certainly provide you any updates we can as soon as we have them.
Great. And we got a couple of questions on parking. Will that underground garage still be available for folks coming in?
The parking garage is open to the public and it is accessible, but I don't have any more details specifically, and I can ask our return to work team to provide updates more specifically on access to the garage.
Thank you. And then we got a couple more questions around, or several questions on the topic around protective plastic barriers around cubicles. Has there been any consideration around that?
That is currently not part of our return to work plan in the office. And so, which is why distancing will remain important. And so current installation of tall barriers around every cube is not currently part of our return to work plan at 1050.
Great. Are we required to get a COVID test when returning from another state?
I don't want to be in the position of restating or sort of interpreting DC public health guidance specifically. I don't think that I'm particularly qualified to do that. I want to refer you to the slides here that we shared and to coronavirus.dc.gov to read and follow the latest DC health guidelines related to which states and when and under what circumstances travel is approved and allowed. And I'd really recommend that you go and read that and try and parse that, and to make sure that you and your team, as we try and update you through communications, that you and your teams and families pay attention to the latest guidance, because it changes sometimes as the DC Health and the Mayor's Office are responsive to new health conditions.
And if we are approved to work in the office, will we be able to use the appliances in the cafe?
Thanks for this. We are working on the policies related to use of appliances as well as available PPE and cleaning materials for appliances, both in the cafes as well as things like copiers and printers. So folks who are interested in coming will have full detailed notifications and guidance about that as part of your return to work package.
Great. And has there been any communication about annual leave, use or lose?
I don't have the answer to that, but I will make sure that we have that update in one of our upcoming OSSI wires and provide that information about use or lose leave this year.
Great. I think those are all of our questions. I'm just sifting through and we have a lot of repeats, so I don't want to ask you the same question again that you've already answered. Just see if any others come in.
As we're waiting on that, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who are tuning in. We've committed, particularly in this virtual space, to meet more often, monthly, as for all staff, to make sure that we're getting the most timely updates, as well as learning about the programmatic work happening at OSSI. We always want to continue finding more ways to connect. And we're committed to continuing to host monthly all hands, and we always also welcome your feedback and thoughts about what's working for you, what you might like to hear more of, so that we can continue to tweak these agendas and make space for us to all get together and learn from each other. So I just wanted to say thank you, and if you have other ideas to send our way, we're welcome to hear them. And thank you and thanks for joining us today.
I think those are all the questions that we had, Shauna, so.
Great. Thanks so much, Lita, and thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you next month.